Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. In this video I'll be proving the fourth test of the series in India and England. Apologies for the background noise, it is raining outside so the raindrops are hitting the window and so you may hear that at times during this video. Starting off from an Indian perspective, a resounding victory in the third test match, and there have been a couple of updates regarding the squad going into this one. Jasit Umrah has been rightfully rested for this fourth test. As I said before, I don't think he needs to play a single home test in India. I don't need him to play to win at home. If he was going to play this series, he should have played the first two tests as a maximum and should have been rested afterwards no matter what the scoreline was at that point in time. And in my view, he shouldn't play the fifth test either, but I don't know whether to rest him for that. In my view, they should make sure he doesn't play the fifth test either. And on KL Rahul, he picked up an injury in one of the first two tests. There's not been as much clarity around his fitness, where it was rumoured that he'd be fit for the third one and this fourth one as well. Unfortunately, that's not been the case, but India have got the ammunition to get the win. I'll be suggesting my 11 based on where this game is being played, and it's being played in Ranchi. I've gone with Rohit Sharma and Yashasvi Jaiswal to open the batting with Shubman Gill at 3, Rajat Paidar at 4. Sarfraz Khan at 5, Dhruv Jurel at 6, Ravindra Jadeja number 7, Akshar Patel 8, Ravichandran Ashwin 9, Kuldeep Yadav 10 and Mohammad Siraj at number 11. The reason why I've gone with the extra spinner in Akshar Patel to be brought back into the side is because, as I've said before, looking at the seam bowling options apart from Bumrah and Siraj, India have not given themselves options at all. Akashdeep, Mukesh Kumar, would they be too effective on this surface where it's still a hard surface, but I feel even if Mukesh Kumar has been drafted into the squad, if he bowled at around that 130 odd, you saw even the previous game when Bumrah and Siraj gave with Ben Tucker capitalised. And I feel in this venue where not too many wickets fall in the first part of the day, especially the first session, Mukesh Kumar relies on that movement up front, and if not many wickets fall, then if he bowls at a friendly pace and the ball skids on, he may go for runs, and that would reduce an option out of the attack. And that's why I've gone with the extra spinner being brought in, so India can field 4 quality spinners and the 1 seamer and Mohammad Siraj, where Ashwin could open the bowling along with Siraj, where he's got the experience. Even though wickets don't fall as much in the early session at this venue, Ashwin has got the experience to keep the opposition at bay. And even though England look to go gung-ho, traditionally this ground doesn't see too many blistering scoring rates, and that's why for India, if they get things right with the ball, they'll also be able to keep things in check no matter what England try to do. From a batting point of view, I've gone with Rajat Paidar at number 4 because Padikkal is there. I don't want to include another player in that selection conundrum where Paidar hasn't been given too many chances. He's been dismissed via soft dismissals, and I feel on a surface where he will enjoy batting, on a traditional subcontinental surface where the first 2.5-3 days will be good for batting and then it would become more difficult to bat in the last 2 days. I feel especially if India, whether they bat first or bat second, there's not too much of an advantage with the toss at this venue. But I would enjoy things, and that's why I've gone with him at number 4 rather than creating another selection conundrum by including Devdutt Padikkal. And now in England, a heavy defeat in the third test, and they've once again released the playing 11 for the fourth test before the match has begun. But I'll also be going through 11 I would have selected at some point during the segment. Rehan Ahmed has been left out for Shoaib Bashir, and rightly so. Like I'd said in my previous video many times, if you're going to include Rehan Ahmed in the 11, if you're not going to bring him on early and maybe try and exploit Rohit Sharma's weakness to wrist spin early on, then there's not much point bringing him on after 20 overs when the opposition has got set. And that's why it was a right decision that they left him out, where Shoaib Bashir will be able to land the ball around the same spot more often than not. There was a rumour that Ollie Robinson would be included in the side, and I didn't think they'd be dropping James Anderson, and they shouldn't have done. They didn't do that. Mark Wood has made way for Ollie Robinson. And this is where my 11 comes in, where they've gone with Johnny Best at 5. He doesn't look like he'd be scoring runs. And that's why in my 11 I would have gone with Dan Lawrence at 5, who also likes to take on the bowling and can bowl some off spin if needed. And I may have gone with Ollie Robinson as well, as even though the surface is a hard surface, so Mark Wood may enjoy bowling on it. especially early on in the first session, wickets don't fall as much. And if Mark Wood does bowl and he goes for runs, well, usually the run rate, like I said, this venue doesn't usually see blistering scoring rates. If Mark Wood goes for runs in the early stages, India get a foundation and then continue on their merry way. I feel it would be tough for him to then recover later on, even though more wickets may fall as the day goes along. And that's why Ollie Robinson and James Anderson to be controlling seamers, where I feel for this Indian side, if you make sure, if you constrain or restrict the scoring opportunities, then even in the first test we saw at times they can try other things. We've seen throughout the series they've been gifting their wickets away. That's why I feel James Anderson and Ollie Robinson playing in this test would be a good thing for England. They should have played in the first two tests of the series in Hyderabad and Visakhapatnam, where they'd have enjoyed bowling on those surfaces more. This is a more hard surface than the surfaces on offer in both those venues, but I still feel playing both of them would be the right way to go. Tom Hartley, Shoaib Bashir, would they be as threatening? Especially, I feel the Indian batsmen have got the measure of them now after the first test, but they'll be able to they'll do their best to keep the runs down. Where even Tom Hartley in the previous game, bowling in Rajkot, he bowled 40 overs, I think, in the first innings and went at, I think, under 3 and over, definitely under 3.5 and over. So I thought he was okay. He tried his best then, but unfortunately India had got the measure of him and Anderson, who were the most likely bowlers to contain the runs in that game. In this case, they would be helped more, I think, with Ollie Robinson playing in the side. Whether England bat first or bowl first, while there traditionally isn't as much of an advantage at this venue, I feel for them to be competitive in this game, they've got to win the toss and bat first. Because if you let this Indian side bat first on a venue which is like a traditional subcontinental surface of us, 2.5, 3 days would be good to bat on, and then it'll get tougher in the last 2 days. India may establish an advantage and they may go on to win this game as well. So I feel England winning the toss, choosing to bat first would be the best thing for them in this game. And finally, when comparing 11s, looking at the top 4 for each side, for India you've got Rohit Sharma, SSV Jaiswal, Shubman Gill and Rajat Paidar, compared with Zach Rowley, Ben Duckett, Ollie Pope and Joe Root for England. Going into the previous game, I'd say even though the Indian openers hadn't clicked as a partnership, I thought they've both got the individual brilliance to play a match-defining knock. We saw that in the first innings from Rohit Sharma and in the second innings from SSV Jaiswal in the previous game, and has already scored another double century, I think, in the second test of this series. The England openers have been putting on decent stands more often than not. Zach Rowley's been scoring that 40-50 runs a lot of the time, scored a couple of 70 odds in the first test. Ben Duckett scored 153 in the first innings of the previous test, but I feel when comparing both the openers, I think you can bank on the Indian openers to play that match-defining innings, even though as a partnership, the English openers have clicked thus far in this series. And on 3 and 4, Shubman Gill versus Ollie Pope. With Ollie Pope, I'd said before that after 196, I didn't think he was going to get another big score in the series. Shubman Gill a 90 odd in the previous game and deserved a century, so I think he takes that. Paidar versus Root, I'll never doubt the class of Joe Root. Paidar has been getting himself out with soft dismissals, but he's also a capable player. But I think Root can take that because of his experience and how good he has been. But overall, I think with the top 4, India have, I feel, the greater fear factor. They hold the greater fear factor going into this game. On 5, 6, 7, you've got Sarfraz Khan, Dhruv Jurel, Ravindra Jadeja compared with Johnny Bairstow, Ben Stokes and Ben Foakes. Sarfraz Khan has been in great form in domestic cricket and scored enterprising 60 overs in the previous game, whereas Johnny Bairstow doesn't seem like scoring runs. I would have played Dan Lawrence ahead of him, but they've gone with Bairstow. Jurel versus Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes, I feel, has been getting starts in every game, scored a couple of 40 odds, one in each of the last 2 tests. And since the series is on the line and they'll be batting on a hard surface, especially in the first 3 days, he may be going up to do something special, which is why I feel Ben Stokes can have a good game today, in this game. And Jadeja versus Ben Foakes. Jadeja has been getting big runs and batting at home and has been one of India's best performing batsmen since 2018. I think he's been averaging in the low 40 odds. Ben Foakes is someone that scores a good 30-40 runs at around a 50 strike rate. But is his batting going to define a game? No, it's not. So Jadeja does take that. And in India, I've got batting down to 9, whereas England, after Tom Hartley, you don't know what the rest will do. And when you're comparing Hartley to Akshar Patel does take that. And now for the bowling, 4 quality spinners for India. For England, you've got Tom Hartley, Shoaib Bashir, who would try their best, but I don't think they're going to deliver a match-winning performance in the Indian bats, and I've got the measure of them. And you've got Joe Root and to bowl some off spin as well, but he hasn't been too great in the last couple of games. James Anderson to keep the runs down, Ollie Robinson to keep the runs down. For India, you've got Mohammad Siraj, who probably won't keep the runs down, hasn't been as great in terms of economy rate in this series. And then you've got the 4 spinners. So while England are fielding 2 economical spinners, I think can help them, India have got the greater muscle in the spin attacks. And even then, with the form of the Indian batting side compared to the England side, I've gone with India to take the edge as well, and I feel they will go on to win this game. So not that long of a preview this time around, but I thought there was more to say on the English side than for India, because for India they've not got too many options, especially in the fast bowling department. I feel them going with Siraj and playing 4 spinners would be the best bet for them. And for England, I would have played Dan Lawrence ahead of Johnny Bairstow, but they've gone with him, and let's see how this game goes. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?